Hello everyone, it's me, Creaky. Now today I'm going to be debunking the lead paint conspiracy theory that's been sent to me by one of you lovely lot. We'll have a look at the facts surrounding the myth, why it's wrong, and how people need to be more aware of where the information is coming from. And by the end of this video, you should have a better understanding of what's really going on and why this myth needs to be debunked. Please subscribe.
Before we get started, this is a very controversial topic. Something ingrained in people for decades. Oh, lead paint is horrible. Lead paint is the devil. Keep it away from your children.
The claim that the government banned lead paint because it blocks radiation from technology is not supported by any scientific evidence. Shocking, I know. Lead paint was actually banned in 1978 due to its toxicity and potential health risks, particularly for children. Now, exposure to lead paint can cause developmental delays. Well, that explains flat earthers at least. Behavioral problems and other serious health issues. And it's concerning that some people are claiming otherwise in an attempt to downplay a legitimate public health concern. Now, there's nothing funny about somebody posing as a health guru trying to spread misinformation on YouTube. Well, nothing that funny.
Yet those same people will keep their cell phone next to their baby all day. Doesn't make any sense.
While some studies have suggested that there may be a link between cell phone use and certain health problems, the evidence is still inconclusive and more research is needed to fully understand the potential risks. However, the evidence on lead paint is clear and consistent. Lead paint is known as a toxin that can cause health problems. It's important to understand that just because a person may engage in one behavior that could be perceived as risky, it does not mean that all other risks should be dismissed. Instead, we should look at each issue independently, weigh up the evidence, and make informed decisions.
I'm 100% convinced myself the main reason lead paint was banned is because it blocks radiation.
And your evidence for this is?
That radiation from your cell phone, router, nearby towers, smart meters, all of your neighborhood's devices. Since lead paint was still being used in the 70s and 80s, before these high radiation devices were invented.
Right, that's it. As soon as somebody whips out the air quotes, unironically, I instantly hate them. Why the hell is this video even on YouTube? I bet my ball bag that this video, the one you're watching now, is gonna get the yellow icon of doom because of the topic. And yet this clown is still uploading content to his own channel. A channel with over 100,000 subscribers.
The lead paint was the only thing protecting us. It's far too much of a coincidence that they banned lead paint right before all of this new technology comes out.
No, lead paint does not offer protection from radiation, you donkey. Lead paint was used for many years as a protective coating on walls and other surfaces due to its ability to resist corrosion and water damage. It can also provide some insulation against sound waves, but it's not effective at blocking radiation of any kind. In fact, using lead-based paint may even increase the risk of exposure to harmful radioactive materials. Lead has been known for centuries as an element that helps block out certain types of radiation. However, this only works when the material is extremely thick and dense. Bit like the guy I'm making a video about. Lead paint typically contains very small amounts of lead mixed with other substances such as zinc or titanium dioxide, which makes it much thinner than solid lead, obviously, rendering it ineffective at blocking out radiation. It's funny, but if you search for lead paint protection from radiation online, the only people saying that it does that are conspiracy theorists, who have no scientific evidence to back up their claims, which should be taken with a grain of salt, by the way. Or in the case of this guy, an entire salt mine.
So lead paint was banned in 1978 for use in child-occupied facilities, which includes residential homes, schools, churches, daycares, etc. One indisputable argument is the amount of lives lost to disease caused by radiation. Every modern disease has environmental radiation as a catalyst, as it greatly increases oxidative stress and reduces organ function.
In 1978, lead paint was banned in child-occupied facilities to protect the health and safety of children. The ban had nothing to do with any potential risk from environmental radiation. Rather, it was due to the fact that the lead paint was a dangerous toxin. While research continues into the possible connection between environmental radiation exposure and certain diseases and illnesses, No scientific evidence has yet been found to substantiate the claims. It's therefore important to remember that lead paint was prohibited because of its hazardous nature, not because of any link with radiation-related illnesses, you complete moron.
If all of our houses were covered in enough lead paint to block radiation, hundreds of thousands to millions of people would not have suffered from radiation-induced diseases, including cancer, diabetes, heart disease. Your individual health will dictate your tolerance to radiation, how much toxins are already in your body, things as simple as were you bottle fed or breastfed. This is the biggest secret. No matter whose YouTube channel you watch, whatever social media influencer, they will never talk to you about EMF radiation or energy because it is what keeps them ahead of the masses.
You're not very smart, are you?
Lead paint is a radiation shield? You are kidding, right? It's a known toxin, not a superhero. Stick to the facts, not conspiracy theories. Individual health and tolerance to radiation will depend on many factors, including genetics, lifestyle, and overall health. However, the idea that lead paint is a secret solution to protect against radiation-induced diseases again is just not supported by any evidence. Like everything else you've said so far, it's also not true that social media influencers or YouTube channels will ever not talk about EMF radiation or energy because it's what keeps them ahead of the masses. Many experts and influencers do talk about EMF radiation and ways to reduce exposure. It's important to critically evaluate the information, consider the source, and check the evidence before accepting it's true, especially if it's this guy, clearly.
The masses are too naive to even think about how their cell phone works and if that energy can be used and manipulated in different ways.
Do me a favor, mate, don't be a dick. If the two options are being part of the masses or being like you, then I know which one I'll choose. Mainly because I'm not an idiot. Well, not that much of an idiot anyway.
Let's jump into some logical inconsistencies.
Ha! Logical! You've taken the pal.
Leaded gasoline wasn't banned until 1996. If lead is so dangerous, why did they wait 20 years before saying that inhaling lead fumes at the gas station or while driving is bad for you?
The reason for the phased approach was to allow time for the development and implementation of new technologies such as catalytic converters in cars that would reduce emissions from those vehicles using unleaded gasoline, or petrol if you're in the UK. Additionally, the risks associated with lead exposure, including lead poisoning and other health effects, were not fully understood until more recent research was conducted. But I'm sure your explanation will be way better, and by better I mean completely wrong in every possible way.
Now, if you didn't know why lead paint was banned, the reason they used is because children, babies, were eating the paint. But that's ridiculous.
Yeah, you haven't got kids, have you? And that was a rhetorical question, as children are particularly vulnerable to lead exposure due to their developing brains and nervous systems. Although I would like to think that it's the cause of your statement. You don't appear old enough for that to be the case though, sadly. So you must just be really stupid for a whole bunch of different reasons.
It's like saying you shouldn't wash your clothes because the kids might eat the Tide Pods.
Now I know you don't have kids. They would eat the Tide Pods, like all those other dumbasses that were eating them when it became a thing online for some really confusing reason. If it's within a child's reach and they're young enough, it will end up in their mouth. And as careful as most parents are, you can't always catch the little buggers in time.
The government is actively poisoning the public, including babies, whether it's what they with at birth or what the water and food supply is polluted with. Have you seen what's in baby formula? Like, they ban lead paint, but they're putting that crap in baby. They're putting iron filings in baby cereal, but lead paint is not.
Yeah, right, the government poisoning babies. I think you've been watching too many conspiracy videos on YouTube, pal. Sure, there may be some things in baby formula and cereal that some people don't agree with, but to say the government is actively trying to harm babies is just completely ridiculous. Much like yourself. Plus, have you seen how cute babies are? Why on earth would anyone want to harm them? They're little bundles of joy, not toxic waste. Let's stick to the facts, shall we, and not wild accusations.
Painters did not report toxicity. when applying the paint years and years ago, there was no widespread respiratory or toxicity issue. And we'll go into that a little more later.
Well, that statement is not entirely correct. In the past, painters may have failed to report toxicity when using paint due to lack of knowledge on the dangers of certain chemicals. But it's not true that there was no extensive respiratory or toxicity problem. Lead-based paint, as I've already said multiple times, was prohibited in 1978 by the Consumer Product Safety Commission because of its severe health risks, especially for children. Again, there are also many studies which demonstrate the detrimental effects inhaling paint fumes can have on anyone's health. So it's vital to realize that just because something wasn't widely known or understood before does not mean it didn't exist or cause harm.
Government agencies still use lead paint. Only the regular public do not have access to it. And I found that out trying to source lead paint myself. Oh, we can use it as government officials, but no, you, as the average homeowner, cannot use lead paint. It is banned.
Now, I can't find a definitive answer to this one, which is slightly worrying. So we're gonna need a citation, pal. Do you have one? Because unlike conspiracy theorists, I refuse to fill in the blanks myself. Some sources say that certain government agencies can use lead paint as long as the public don't have access to it, while other sources say that no government agencies can use it at all. So full disclosure, I don't know if he's right or wrong.
Miscarriage rates and childhood cancer have skyrocketed, which the government has done an excellent job of hiding the statistics of, but I've heard that it's around 30%.
I love conspiracy theorists. Duh, the government are hiding the statistics, but I heard it's 30%. Who did you hear that from then? Other conspiracy theorists? No, miscarriages and childhood cancer are not higher now than in the 1970s. According to the Centre for Disease Control and Prevention, the rate of miscarriage has remained relatively stable since the 70s, with an average of 15 to 20% of all clinically recognised pregnancies ending in miscarriage. The incidences of childhood cancer have also remained relatively stable over the past few decades, with an average of 13.3 cases per 100,000 children. And that information was really easy to find from multiple sources. So, yeah, what was it you were saying about it being hidden?
How is it possible that 1 in 3 children are not brought into this world because of our environmental pollutions?
Oh, I don't know, because we are idiots ruining our own planet? I'm just thinking out loud. I'm not really sure where lead paint comes into it though. Yeah, it's true that 1 in 3 pregnancies in the US end in miscarriage, according to the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. But again, there are many factors that can cause miscarriage, and I can't find any information blaming lead paint.
Point is, with these logical inconsistencies, they want you and your children sick.
Why exactly though? Now I know this would only apply to the UK, but do they want everyone sick to put an even greater strain on the National Health Service? You know, that free healthcare system we've got in the UK that is already completely overwhelmed. Maybe in America they want you all sick so that none of you are around anymore to pay taxes, or in the case of kids, grow up to become tax-paying adults. Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
It's very evident. So why did they ban lead paint?
Oh, are you asking me? Well, because it was incredibly dangerous, you muppet. I can't see why this is so difficult for you to understand. Lead paint bad, not safe, dangerous, hazardous. That's why it isn't used anymore, dickhead.
Someone please explain to me. If they're poisoning us with fluoride and chlorine in the water, why are they trying to help us by banning lead paint?
Because lead paint is dangerous, you monumental idiot. Additionally, fluoride and chlorine are added to drinking water as a health and safety measure. Fluoride helps prevent tooth decay, while chlorine kills bacteria that can cause illnesses. Both substances are considered safe at the levels they are added to drinking water. And by implementing these measures, people are protected from various health risks associated with lead exposure or bacteria-related illnesses.
Not only that, they didn't tell you what other sources of lead you might interact with. Soil. Do your kids go outside and eat dirt? Seems more likely that they would eat dirt than paint, to be honest. Also, food grown in that polluted soil, the peas and carrots being fed to your child, could have lead in them.
Okay, while it's true that lead can be present in soil and food grown in contaminated areas, it's not common for children to eat large amounts of dirt, is it? Unless, of course, those children are going to grow up to be conspiracy theorists. Then it's a requirement. I would imagine. The more you say, the clearer it becomes that you have no clue what you're talking about, pal. Do you really think that people are letting their kids sit outside in the garden and munch away on dirt? You really aren't too smart, are you? Or maybe you're just reliving your own childhood, because something must have turned you into what you are now. A complete clown who doesn't have a clue what he's talking about.
Drinking water. They don't seem to care about removing the lead in the water in Flint, Michigan, or lead in the water anywhere, because that lead is not lining the walls, protecting them from the government's radiation.
No, don't worry about that pesky lead in the water in Flint, Michigan. It's just nature's way of shielding you from government radiation, like a superhero suit for your inside. The Flint, Michigan water crisis began in 2014 when the city switched its water supply from Lake Huron to the Flint River. The river was not treated properly, resulting in lead contamination in the drinking water. But that's a completely separate topic. You have videos about lead paint, and you thinking it's some big conspiracy.
Hazardous locations. In New York, I think Rockland County, which is kind of close to the city, was known for some sort of like toxic area, and a lot of people are getting cancer. But the government doesn't tell you or warn you, oh, if your home is located near businesses, demolition sites, mines, recycling facilities, there are heavy lead pollution concerns as well as many other toxins.
Oh no, not Rockland County, not the land of delicious apple orchards and charming small towns. Are you sure you're not just confusing it with the mythical land of Mordor? Because that's the only place I've ever heard of where the air's toxic and the government keeps secrets. Oh, I know the governments do keep secrets, I'm not saying they don't, but in all seriousness, while there may be instances of hazardous locations in the world, it's important to note that the government and local authorities are usually working to address the issues and keep communities safe, not using them to get rid of people and hide the fact that lead paint is actually safe, because it isn't.
It's crazy to me that the government has pinpointed this issue on lead paint, children eating paint, as opposed to all of these other potential issues.
And you don't think it's crazy to claim that something like lead paint is safe? Even though there's zero scientific evidence that even implies that what you're saying is true. Seems legit to me. I mean, why listen to experts when you can look it up on YouTube and take the word of a so-called health guru who is demonstrating all the symptoms of eating lead paint when he was a child?
Now, is that really the issue? Should we say the only possible problem with lead paint is a child eating it? Has that ever happened on a large scale?
My word, what research did you actually do for your video? No one is saying that's the only reason lead paint was banned. Lead paint was banned because it's toxic. It's a neurotoxin that can lead to serious health issues, including brain damage. And in addition, lead paint chips and dust can be ingested and inhaled, leading to lead poisoning. So sorry, mate, but there's a bit more to it than that.
The real problem, and my understanding of the danger of lead paint,
completely non-existent, clearly. But go on, we're here now, so we may as well hear you out. I mean, everything you've said so far has made so much sense, hasn't it?
I mentioned earlier, the government uses lead in certain commercial applications not really known to the public. A more common example is its use in hospitals.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this. Lead is used in a variety of ways in hospital applications, such as radiation shielding in X-ray rooms and nuclear medicine facilities, as well as in the construction of lead-lined walls, doors and windows. Lead is an effective barrier to radiation, which is why it's often used in these types of applications. But go on, let's hear what you think.
Every single hospital, X-ray rooms, private patient rooms, are they putting you in the giant room where everyone is getting fried, or do they give you the rich person treatment and put you in a room that has lead walls? There's so many building materials available. You could just Google it. Lead plywood, lead drywall, lead doors, lead bricks.
Now, it's funny you should bring up bricks. When was your brain replaced by one? And I'm getting fed up of saying this, but lead is toxic to humans and can have serious effects on your health if you ingest it or inhale it. However, in the small amounts it's used in hospitals for radiation shielding and medical equipment, the benefits of using lead outweigh the risks. Lead is an element which is found in nature and has been used for many centuries, particularly in the construction industry. It's also been used to make medical equipment such as radiation shielding and other devices. Lead is toxic, but it's also beneficial when used in small quantities in the right way because of its ability to absorb radiation and protect people from its harmful effects. The benefit of using it in hospitals outweighs the risk. And let's not forget that in hospitals, people aren't ingesting it, are they, dumbass? This is just getting silly now, isn't it? Why am I bothering?
Lead curtains. You can even buy glass that has a lot of lead in it, enough to block radiation. Hospitals, allegedly where the most vulnerable people are, have the highest use of lead out of any commonly visited building.
Now, the best way to tackle a problem like this is by educating yourselves about where the information comes from and making sure that we always check our sources before believing something online. And additionally, if you see someone spreading false information online, it's important to call them out, politely but firmly. That's what I do. So they understand why what they're saying isn't true. Sadly, that rarely seems to work. But anyway, finally, if you've got friends or family members who may be affected by these kind of rumors, or friends or family members that are conspiracy theorists, tell them about this video. And make sure you talk to them about it too, so they can learn more about what's really going on instead of relying on hearsay from unverified claims online, i.e. conspiracy theorists. Thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe while you're down there for more videos just like this. So until next time, love you, bye.
Alright, watch this next. But before you do, make sure you subscribe. By order of the Creaky Blinder.